Welcome back to another Bali Covid-19 update. My name is Bruce and this is September 1st, 2021. And yes, we're in September and still going at it. And so it's Wednesday, and on Monday night the president came on TV and told everybody that the restrictions were going to be extended for another week. No surprise there. There have been some changes. Some places have moved from level 4 to level 3, level 3 to level 2, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Pak Luhut, the Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment, said that restrictions are working. PPKM is working, and there's been a continual decline in cases. He said the number of Regency cities that are in level 2 category have increased from 10 to 27. That's big. And from level 3, 67 to 76. And level 4 regencies and cities were reduced from 51 to 25. Unfortunately, that includes Yogyakarta and Bali. So Bali is staying at level 4 for the time being. Areas that moved into level 3 include Greater Jakarta, Greater Bandung, Greater Surabaya, Malang Raya, and Solo Raya. Semarang has dropped from level 3 to level 2, and so that's getting better. Regarding Bali, Pak Luhut said that Bali is expected, as well as Jogja, to move into level 3 in the coming days. He said, especially for the Bali area, in the direction of the president, he specifically asked for an immediate check and intervention in the field. For that, we will return to the field to revisit the obstacles faced so that the improvement trend can be accelerated. So, does that mean he's going to come back to Bali again? Sounds like it. Pak Luhut said he's receiving good reports from Bali and the way that COVID is being handled, and the trend of declining cases. And you know that if you've listened to these videos, you know our numbers are going down, 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 and down again this week or today. Pak Luhut said that in addition to the COVID situation, the number of cases dropping, good news on economic recovery. He said from a survey from the Mandiri Institute, it shows an increase in spending and visits to shopping places in Java and Bali. And he noted that it can be seen in the mobility of people in the retail and tourism sectors, which is increasing rapidly. And, well, if you're here in the Singaraja, you see people shopping all the time, including me. So, Pak Luhut said, we have to be grateful for the various good developments that we've achieved together. However, we need to remain super vigilant because many other countries in the world are still facing high increase in cases. And he said if we're not careful, that could happen to us as well. One more week of restrictions, and well, maybe we'll drop to level 3 in a few days. That would be nice, or certainly by next week. So let's keep hoping. Okay, so that's that. We have another week until the 6th of restrictions. And what about the numbers? Numbers looking good. Okay, so 7-day average for new positive cases fell to 475, getting down. And the 7-day average for deaths dropped to 40 a day. So 2 drops in the 7-day averages. Excellent news. And for all of Indonesia, new cases 5,436. Amazing. Total individuals tested yesterday were 130,500 and 8.1 positive rate. The 7-day average, right? Because 7-day average is more reliable here. The 7-day average was 10%. So looks like there's light. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, and what about Bali in terms of vaccination numbers? 3,175,359, 73.5% of the population. And second doses, 1,827,898, and that is a big 42.3% of the population. Okay, by next week, we should be up over 50,000, 50%, 50,000, 50%. And yesterday, 39,664 additional doses were administered. And what about the numbers in Bali? Well, new positive cases, 376. It wasn't that long ago we were up at 1,900. And recoveries, 259. So recoveries, not as many recoveries as new cases today. Deaths, 14. Okay, wow. And the number of active cases, 6,425. So, good news with the numbers. We're looking for getting down to level 3. Let's get down to level 3. This is the time to stick with it, not to loosen up. And I know a lot of people are really tired and the fatigue is there, but we just have to hang in there. We got the trend going down. We need to hang in there until we can get it down well below 100 new cases a day. Okay, so we've looked at the numbers. They're looking good. What about vaccines and vaccinations? Millions of doses of AstraZeneca's Sinovac vaccines landed in Indonesia the other day. And so Coordinating Minister for Human Development and Culture, Muhajir Effendi, said that Indonesia received 3 shipments of AstraZeneca and the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccines on the 30th, which was 2 days ago. And they're the 43rd, 44th, and 45th deliveries. And we got 1,086,000 doses of AstraZeneca and 5 million doses of Sinovac. And in addition to that, there's also another 9,200,000 doses of bulk vaccines from Sinovac. Those are processed here. And Muhajir hopes that the arrival of new vaccines will help speed up the government's vaccination program. At this point, only 16%, approximately 16% of the total population has been vaccinated fully. The minister appealed to the public not to be picky about the bread of vaccine that they're receiving, and please take what they can get. And he said, please keep going with the health protocols. And that's just the way it is, he said, paraphrasing him. So good news with the arrival of more vaccines. We need the vaccines in order to get everybody vaccinated. And as I was talking about in the last video, with the Navy going out looking for fishermen, okay, vaccinating people in this archipelago is a daunting task because people are spread out all over. And if you've ever been to Papua or parts of the Malukus, for example, people are out in some pretty remote places and not easy to get to. And so getting everybody vaccinated is, it's work. And more on vaccines and vaccinations. So Ombudsman against using vaccine certificates as public requirement. Ombudsman member Indraza Marzuki Rice said in a statement this week that the government should postpone making COVID-19 vaccinations a public service requirement. That is, you can't get any public services if you're not vaccinated. And you know, I've talked about this. There was a big push here, and Regency after Regency in Bali came out and said, look, if you don't want to get vaccinated, great, but don't come to us for anything. So the Ombudsman here is saying, let's not use that, the vaccine certificates, as something that's necessary in order to receive services from the government. In order to back up his argument, he said that based on data from the health ministry, 60.43 million people have received the first dose. So that's only 29% of the total vaccination goal of 208 million. And recipients of second dose, even less, he said, with 34.12 million or 16.38%. So if you're going to cut off services right now to people that aren't vaccinated, you're going to be cutting off services to the majority of the country. He said that most of the people that are not getting vaccinated is not through any fault of their own. That surveys have shown that vaccine hesitancy is decreasing rapidly here. more and more people in the public who have not been vaccinated want to get vaccinated, but they haven't been able to because of insufficient supplies and facilities. So he urged the government to postpone its plans to introduce a regulation that would require people to have vaccine certificates to access public services until max vaccinations in Indonesia were spread evenly. As you know, Bali is way ahead of most places. Our second dose is up over 40% now. And so while that may work here, it's certainly not going to work in other parts of Indonesia where people are struggling to get a first dose, not even mentioning a second dose. And let's talk about herd immunity once again, because herd immunity is still there. There's still people talking about herd immunity. And so more and more experts are questioning whether the long-held goal of achieving herd immunity from COVID-19 is going to be viable. This is particularly with the Delta strain. According to epidemiologist Mircea Sofonia, the question is, will vaccination alone allow us to dampen and control the pandemic? And he said no. Delta has been shown to be roughly 60% more transmissible than the Alpha variant and up to twice as infectious as the original strain that emerged in 2019. The more effective a virus becomes at infecting people, the higher the herd immunity threshold becomes. So, according to another epidemiologist, theoretically it's a very simple calculation to make. So for the original virus, which had a reproduction rate between 0 and 3, meaning each infected person can infect up to 3 others, herd immunity could have been achieved around 66%. And so that was the 70% number. But if the reproduction rate is 8, as it is in Delta, that puts us closer to 90%, he said. According to data published this week by U.S. authorities, the efficacy of the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines at preventing infection has fallen from 91% to 66% since Delta has become the dominant variant. And studies have shown that the vaccine efficacy against infection with Delta falls over time, and this is one of the reasons that countries are starting to give boosters now. Sofonia said that with all this taken into account and absent other health measures such as mask wearing and social distancing, it would take more than 100% of people to be vaccinated in order to guarantee transmissions end, and that's an impossibility. According to Andrew Pollard, the director of Britain's Oxford Vaccine Group, he called herd immunity mythical and said it's no longer in play. But even though it's no longer in play, vaccinations are paramount. And as with other now endemic diseases such as measles and influenzas, vaccines offer excellent protection against severe illness and death. Sofonia said that it's possible that COVID-19 could just become another endemic disease like I talked about the other day, but it's not going to be done just with vaccines alone. So he sees a future where everybody is going to continue wearing masks and social distancing in certain areas in order to limit transmission and severe illness. He noted, and I thought this was interesting, during the AIDS pandemic, when scientists said we needed to wear condoms, lots of people said, okay, we'll do it for a while, and in the end they kept on using it. It could well be that we will continue using masks in enclosed spaces and on transport for quite some time. Well, some people will. Most people won't. That's my feeling. If you take a look at what's happening around the world, and that includes here in our chinwares. And what's happening here in Bali specifically? Well, Pak Sandiaga Uno, our old friend, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, has asked hotel owners in Bali to reconsider selling their properties in order not to contribute to the increasing economic decline here and the lack of employment opportunities. Pak Sandiaga Uno admitted that Bali has been the hardest hit of the Indonesian provinces, and according to this article, I don't know if they're quoting him directly, 54% of the island's economy is dependent on tourism. Well, usually people are saying 70 or even 80%. But regardless, he said that he realizes that hotel occupancies are down and it's forcing some owners to put their places up for sale, and I've talked about that many times already. He said he's working together in coordination with other ministries and government agencies to come up with a solution to this that will alleviate the current difficulties for hotel owners and allow them to retain ownership of their properties. And he said that there's 300 billion rupees in funds that have been allocated to the National Committee for the Mitigation of COVID-19 and Economic Relief to provide accommodations for health personnel at hotels that are otherwise nearly empty. Additionally, Pakuno said that he hopes that potential international investors would establish partnerships with Indonesian hotel owners to revive the tourism industry and create more employment opportunities here. He also said that he realizes that selling properties and purchasing properties are part of every economic crisis, and that business people and investors will adjust their portfolios according to situations as they arise. He noted that he receives emails from overseas colleagues in international relations, and many people are interested in purchasing Indonesian assets. Well, we talked about this. If you've seen this video and if you watch any of the Instagrammers and YouTubers that do the daily or weekly moving around Bali, you see one hotel after the next closed. There are very few people in, so hotel owners are having a tough time. And so let's hope that they can hang on for a little longer. Okay, so Pak Sandiaga Uno told hotel owners, please don't sell your hotels, hang in there. And what about hotel occupancy? Well, Bali hotel occupancy at all-time low amid, well, this says level 3 COVID restrictions. Bali is level 4. The tourism minister said that Bali hotel occupancy at its lowest with 10% from July-August this year, despite the relaxing of some of the public activity restrictions. He said that this drop in hotel occupancy resembles the region's lowest occupancy, which was back a year ago, March to July. So, okay, not good. And you see why people want to sell their hotels. There's nobody there. In addition to Bali, of course, there's many other tourist spots in Indonesia, and Pakuno said the average hotel occupancy in other places is about 15%, so we're really getting hammered here. And Pakuno admitted that the PPKM restrictions have really affected everybody, the hotel business all across Indonesia, not just the hotel business. He said the reduced community mobility negatively affected the market up to 1.3%. Good news on the numbers so far, and good news on the vaccines, but yeah, there's no tourists here. And should there be? Okay, that's a debate. Some people want to bring them in right now. Some people want to wait. Do we focus on the international tourists? Do we focus on the domestic tourists? Aren't both a problem because they can spread the virus around? What are we going to do? Are we going to drop to level 3 in the next few days or in the next week? Well, let's wait for the wrap up and see. So I've talked about counterfeit documents before, and this week there were 2 in the news, one in Padambai, and I've lost the link for some reason, so I'll just mention one was in Padambai, and this one in Gilimanuk. So Bali authorities make more arrests at Gilimanuk port over fraudulent COVID documents. So 2 bus drivers were arrested by the Jembrana Police Department for selling fake test documents for their passengers. All of the passengers were not tested, but they all had documents. And the 2 buses planned on carrying their passengers from West Java to Jembrana. After noticing that when they tried to check on validation, they couldn't, they interrogated the bus drivers and the passengers both, and they all admitted that they sold the fake documents, or were sold the fake documents for 100,000 rupees. Wow, cheap. About $7. And the 2 bus drivers admitted that they received documents from a man named Agus in Banyuwangi, and he's already been arrested by the police. They bought the documents for $60,000 and sold them for $100,000, so they made a $40,000 profit. Boy, for a $40,000 profit, it doesn't seem worth it. So 31 passengers and 2 drivers. This is not what we need now. Time for update. So this is Wednesday, September 1st, and numbers looking good again. And so this is, I don't know, is this 3, 4 in a row that, good news, good news. Okay, so really happy to see this. And no, this is not the time, in my opinion, to open up yet. We are going to have to open up sometime in the near future, but not right now. The numbers are getting so good compared to where we were just a few weeks ago, a week ago, and that's great. But I'm wondering if Pak Luhut is going to come here, like I said at the start here, if he's going to come back and check on this, because we are making the big progress. And he, Pak Luhut, and the governor, of course, and the president, and everybody else wants to see Bali get down into level 3 at least. Well, I'd like to see us down to level 1. Okay, so good news about the numbers and the vaccinations and the vaccines. Everything's looking good right now, with the exception of hotels, of course, and the economy is still trashed. And there was another story that I'm not really going to report on, of a patient who committed suicide while he was being treated for COVID. So the mental health things that I talked about before, that's not good. So we've got to get past this. The question is, when are we going to open up? How are we going to open up? Who are we going to open up to? And you know, I talked the other day about this November 2022 date, and before that. And if anybody, here's the crystal ball. If anybody knows, they're looking at a crystal ball, because the government is not saying anything. So if you want to come and you say, well, is next April going to be okay? Boy, I hope so. December, I hope so. The way things are looking now. So this is September 1st. Personally, I'm hoping we get open by December for the end of the year rush. We have a lot of people coming in, be a big boost to the economy, to people's mental health. Way to start the year off positive, the new year off positive, and end the old year on an up note. But we can't tell what's going on yet. So hang in there. Stay safe wherever you are. Follow the protocols, and remember that as much as you want to come to Bali, and as much as Bali needs to get some tourists coming in, we're going to go slow here. The government is going to go slow until they're sure that this is going to work, or they're reasonably sure it's going to work. Because the last thing we want to have happen is have a failed program where we open up and people come in and the numbers shoot up and we've got to close again. It'll look real bad. Hang in there, and thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, and I'll see you next time. One more thing I forgot to add. If you are from the north, or live up in the north, or you like to go up north, I just saw this news just out on the local government page on Facebook. The provincial government of Bali, under the leadership of the governor and the deputy governor, is committed to realizing an integrated infrastructure, and so they're continuing the construction of new shortcuts on the Singaraja-Mengwitani bypass. I guess I call it bypass, and I've never been on this. This is how long I just don't go that way anymore, down the route up over Badugal, up over the mountains and stuff. I haven't been down to Denpasar in a long time. So What's happening with that? The continuation of the project is expected to reduce the bend and slope of the road. The structure is more gentle and will shorten the travel time from Denpasar to Singaraja and vice versa. Groundbreaking begins tomorrow. Okay, up in Pagayaman, Sukasada. So, good news there. And this bypass is expected to, or this shortcut is expected to create a more equitable development between North and South Bali, especially in the tourism sector. So, some more good news. Okay. See you next time.